welcome here to a very special edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. As you know, Great Lakes Honda City are our exclusive studio partner, and it's where I've gotten my vehicles for over a decade on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you head out there Monday through Saturday for sales and service. To get a sneak peek of their inventory, go to greatlakeshondacity.com. Let them know that DT sent you. In this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, I am featuring Brianna Santos of the Binghamton Softball wonderful program. I was spoiled to have this program last season on the show, and I'm spoiled to do it again. Binghamton Softball student athlete during this 2025 season. So, Brianna, first and foremost, how are we doing?
We're doing great today. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to the beginning. I want to Tarantino the whole thing, rewind to the present essentially. So if we go all the way back to when softball started for you, when was that?
Oh, way at the beginning at the age of 5? Is that when you want me to get that far back?
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents, they put me in everything as a kid. Tap dance, swim, soccer, and softball's what stuck with me. So started it when I was young.
So starting at 5 o'clock, you said, or 5 years old, you said your parents had you go through all different things to see what you liked. What was it about softball that stuck?
I was reflecting on this earlier today, and I think it's really funny, but I think the reason I stuck with it and love it so much is because when I was growing up, I actually really didn't like it at all.
Okay.
I was really scared of the ball, and I just was always cold because we were an outdoor sport, and those are really silly things as a little kid, but as I got older, I was learning how to create deeper relationships with my teammates. I kind of learned how I can overcome my own fears and challenges. And so even as a young 8, 9, 10-year-old, seeing myself change from someone who was scared or upset doing something to someone who could find positives and enjoy moments within that sport, it made me want to keep going and see where else it could go.
So you said you didn't like the cold, didn't like being outside, afraid of the ball.
Mhm.
When did that change for you? When did you kind of not have the fear of the ball coming towards you and essentially get over the fact of being outside and knowing that you're playing in the elements?
I was about the age of 10 or 11, and that's when we were playing a lot of summer ball, so different part of the year. But um, in that time, we spent more practice time together as a team, so it gave us the opportunity to learn more. And I just found myself kind of giving into the concept of fear and seeing what more can I do. And like I said, it sounds really crazy for a little kid to be doing, but I do remember just saying like I just got to try this full out. And I was really lucky to have a really good set of parents who always supported me and the things that I wanted to do. So that was the age of change for me.
You keep saying, when I was a kid, I had this mentality. How are you such a kind of, I mean, to me, I'm hearing a lot of like deep, real, genuine adult in the child you. So, there's a lot of people that are full blown adults that definitely have not morphed into that, right? They don't have the maturity. Why did you have so much maturity at such a young age?
Thank you for that. I do truly attribute it to my parents. They really exposed me to a lot as a kid, and not in a harsh way, but um, in a sense where if there was a challenge or an adversity, they really wanted me to try and handle it and learn how to get through that.
Yeah.
So they were very supportive, but they also really encouraged independent learning for myself and how I would get through those situations. And I think that's one of the greatest things that helped me become who I am today and reflect on when I do see challenges, how am I going to get through them and not being afraid to get through things. So now I'm in my 20s and I obviously have so many more challenges in life to come, but I feel like they've helped prepare me to understand how to get through that, and even as a kid.
So mom and dad, instead of coddling you, instead of being like, we're going to figure this all out for you, they say, hey, like you work through it.
Mhm.
What do you appreciate about the fact that you have parents that were saying to you at a young age, like if there's a problem, if there's an issue, we want to see you problem solve. Like we're going to be here with you and we're going to support you, but we want you to develop the skills and the tools to be able to handle life. Just what that means.
That was a lot of through words and conversations, but also through example. Something that is a huge part of my life is my mom also has multiple sclerosis. So not many people are aware of what that is, and it is actually Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month in March, but it's when your immune system attacks your nervous system. So she has certain difficulties with basic tasks such as walking, writing, and so part of that independent learning was sometimes there's certain things she simply can't do for me, and she would help support me in getting them done, or I would see her get things done in alternative ways that you wouldn't necessarily think of. And I think that really encouraged me through example. So not only did someone like my father say like, "Hey, you can do this. I believe in you. We're going to support you." But I also had someone like my mother who I saw finding ways to get lots of what seemed to be easy things done efficiently, and she always had a really positive attitude while doing it.
So awesome words for mom. Probably watching and crying. What is mom's first name?
Kathy.
Kathy.
Kathy with a K. She
Okay.
likes everyone knows with a K.
So, what do you want to say to mom? What do you want to say to Kathy? Looking right into the screen, mom's on the other side of it. Words to mom.
Automatic words to mom is I'm so thankful for how much she's cared and loved for me. And I think that not only shows with the things that you say as a parent, but also just how she's always treated me. She's always made it really known to me that I'm one of the greatest things in her life, and I think that means a lot. And so I want to live up to that and give back all the love that she's given to me. So I would say thank you for all of that, and you're a phenomenal parent.
So, shout out to mom and shout out to the love. Dad's first name is
Rommel,
Rommel.
Rommel,
Ronald or Rommel?
Rommel,
Rommel.
Rommel.
So, Rommel, first time I have ever heard that name in my life. I like the uniqueness of it. What do we want to say to Rommel, to dad?
I would say thank you so much for all the silly moments we've had together and for at the same time being someone that helped guide me in the right direction. He was definitely a strict parent when I was growing up, but he also knew how to have fun and be a realistic parent.
Yeah.
So I would say thank you for being such a great figure and showing me what hard work means. He constantly was helping take care of me, my mom. He was always working to support each of us. And so he just is a great role model to me of how to work hard and how to have a good time doing it.
I love that. I love hearing that. So, hard work, dedication, love, facing adversity head on, and finding ways to handle it with positivity. It sounds like, and I'm echoing, what you were saying earlier on, but it sounds like two terrific parents that have not allowed life to dictate who they are, but they've told life who they're going to be.
Absolutely. I don't have any siblings. So, I mean, I grew up with dogs. That
Yeah.
counts. But that's why I say my mom, my dad mean so much to me because they were my immediate family. And as I've grown older, I've created family that outside of myself, such as family friends and teammates, but they were who was born with, and I was really lucky to be born to them.
Well, I can say as a fellow only child that grew up with dogs as well, that, I tell people, and I have to preface this every time I meet somebody new, they're like, "Do you have any siblings?" And I say, "They're not biological, but I have like seven brothers. I have a couple sisters, and I'm going to say it once. I'm going to tell you, like, these are my people, and then I'm going to refer to them as my brother Isaac, my brother Joey, and that's just how it is. I mean, there's acquaintances, there's friends, and then there's the brothers and sisters, and some of them are family, some of them are cousins, some of them aren't blood. But my cousin Franny, if people ask about her, it's like, "How's your little sister?" So there's just like you can appreciate it, but I'm hearing your story, and I'm going, "Yep, only child, close to my parents, dogs in the family, and you have friends that become family." So to tell you you're not alone in that sense. How fun has it been to create your own family and to find your own siblings, essentially, where you choose each other? You're not stuck with each other, you choose each other.
Right. That's the exact thing as I was gonna say is that's the best part is you find them within your life and you don't know when they're gonna come, but they choose you and you choose them. And it's just an everyday thing. So I have like a best friend I grew up with in kindergarten. Her name's Kate, and that will be my best friend for all of my life. She's been there through every moment, and her mom claims me as her kid when we go on family trips, and it goes the other way around. But just finding people like that in my life has been amazing, and knowing that we just chose each other in time.
Yeah, and to have that best friend, and like you said, her parents, and like her mom treats me as her daughter, and all of this when you're out and whatnot, and vice versa. You said she will be my best friend forever. What makes you believe that?
I say that because um, I just the connection we have with each other is something I can't always put into words.
Yeah,
When we're with one another, we feel some type of almost like more relaxed or like a reset. Like she lives in California right now because that's where I grew up, and I'm in New York. And with our schedule, sometimes we won't talk for a few weeks. And I'm not really worried that anything is missing or wrong in our relationship. I know she's doing what she needs to do, and the same is going on for me. So I just feel this deep sense of understanding of her, and she does the same for me, and she just makes me feel whole in a way that I can't fully explain.
well, the beauty of God choosing who your family is going to be, and we kind of find out as we go. He just plants those angels all over the place. Here with Brianna Santos here in this conversation in the Bearcat Breakroom on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive studios, which are the Great Lakes Honda City studios, to look at what you just said, California, San Mateo, California. You went to Hillsdale and then collegiately went to McNeese State and then UCCS. Bring me through all of that. Bring me through the portal, McNeese, UCCS, and then coming across the country to Binghamton, New York.
Right. So I obviously didn't walk into college thinking I would move so many times. I I was recruited as a senior in high school, which at the time was fairly late because there was no rule indicating that coaches couldn't talk to your junior year. So
Yeah.
people started communicating with coaches their freshman and sophomore year. And at the time, I had a limited number of offers. I was trying to weigh my financial situation, what I wanted from my academic career, and my goals athletically. And that's how I landed upon UCCS. I was really lucky that the coach had seen me playing at the Colorado Sparkler, which is a huge softball tournament. So she reached out to me, asked to have a conversation, and when I came to visit campus, I loved it. I had the best time. I spent 2 wonderful years there, one of them being COVID, and the decision to leave UCCS or the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs was really difficult. They were a Division II institution, and I had the best time there. I met some of my closest friends. I'm going to some of their weddings this year. They'll be at my senior day, and it was hard to leave because I knew I was loving my life there so deeply, but a part of me also had this goal of playing at a D1 school. And I knew that was a goal of mine. So I was talking to myself and considering in my own mind, am I going to be okay wondering if I could have done it? If at the end of my career, if I could have been at a D1 school.
Yeah.
So I spoke with my coach at the end of the year and I told her about my decision, and she was very supportive. She was a phenomenal person and a great coach. She understood where I was coming from and she supported me in entering the portal. She helped try to communicate with others with me, all of that good stuff. And so she's still someone I connect to when I need something. She's a great mentor. But I then had two offers, and one was from McNeese State, and the other was from Binghamton. So naturally, I chose McNeese State. Um, that's a really funny one to bring up to Coach Bump every time. But I, at the time, had chosen McNeese because the two offers I was receiving from each school were identical, and they were just in two different geographical regions. That was kind of the biggest difference. I ended up choosing McNeese because I was pretty excited about their softball schedule and some of the goals they had. They are playing schools like Oklahoma, LSU, University of Texas, and so I was just concerned about shorting myself, and this sounded like a really awesome opportunity schedule-wise. So I decided to kind of jump in the deep end and see how that would go.
Yeah.
Obviously, didn't fit perfectly for me.
Yeah.
I spent 1 year at McNeese State, and unfortunately, it just didn't work well for me. I I was moving to Lake Charles, Louisiana, which in itself was already really challenging because I don't know if you've ever been to Louisiana, but it's kind of like entering another country when you're from California. And I say that because the way they interact is very different. Their mannerisms are really different.
Yeah.
What's considered rude and polite is very different. So it was already really challenging trying to catch up to the social norms so that I could kind of come across how I want, which is I like to pride myself in being very outgoing, very polite, very kind, and so I wanted to still resemble that, but I was kind of having some trouble doing that because they just have different mannerisms there. But on a greater level, I just was finding myself having trouble feeling like I was fitting perfectly in the program. And sometimes that happens, there's no bad blood, but I just felt like things weren't fitting well. We were a really competitive program, and I did learn a lot from my experience there.
Yeah.
Um, but there was definitely moments in that where I was considering, should I be at Binghamton? Should I be at Binghamton? And um, there just came a point because there for a long time I was like, I'll just stay here for the rest of my career. I'll just stay here. But I ended up tearing one of my hip labrums, and in that time I had the opportunity to step away from softball. I was crutch bound for a couple of months, so there wasn't a lot I could do
Yeah.
physically. I could be a supportive role in a lot of ways, but it did give me the opportunity to think and reflect. And I realized that I did want to try and see what Binghamton could be for me. I knew that McNeese wasn't fitting perfectly for me, and I didn't want to try and mold myself into something that I don't believe fits me super well. I still wanted to see what else was out there. So at the end of the year, I decided to call Coach Bump and say, hey, at the end of our last phone call, when I told you no a year ago, you told me if I ever need anything, I can call you. And those words really stuck with me. That really
Yeah.
meant a lot coming from a coaching staff. So I gave her a call, and that summer we talked it out, and now I'm at Binghamton, and it's every day is awesome. Even the rainy, snowy days, I'll take it. I love it.
So, and I love that picture that you just painted. They say that third time is the charm. Is that true with Binghamton?
It absolutely is. I make that joke myself too, where I'm like, oh, third time's the charm, because I first off didn't want to move away from California. So moving to Colorado was already a big step for me. And then I learned to love Colorado. So for me to consider moving not one more time, but two more times was so out of the picture for me as a freshman. But yeah, third time's the charm. No more transferring. I'm happy being here, and I'm so lucky Coach Bump let me back on.
So, how did that conversation go? You said, you called up Coach Bump and said, a year ago, you asked me. I said no, but you said if I need anything to give you a call. So, did she say, well, like, what do you need? What's the deal here? I mean, how did it all go down on the phone? And was she immediately receptive, or did she mess with you a little bit?
Um, I I was terrified because I could only imagine how upset a coach might be at someone when they initially say no and then they come back. And I didn't know her well at the time, so I was like, I don't know how she might feel about this. So I initially emailed her. We set up a phone call so the call wasn't out of the blue. And in that call, and I think probably within the email, I was asking if I could transfer back in to Binghamton. And at first, she kind of it was an hour-long conversation we had, and I explained what had happened throughout the year, where I was currently, why I wanted to be at Binghamton, the things that I'd learned.
Yeah.
And at first, she was kind of saying how They've played with a small roster from that point. She would have to consider if she wanted transfers for that year. Fast forward to now, we always make jokes because she said one of the reasons she was making that answer is because she just didn't know how many recruits she'd have at the time, so she was still trying to plan that. But in reality, she did want to bring me on and just needed to figure out the logistics. So I think it's really funny because I can remember being parked in Houston because I'm trying to go to my hip appointment for my torn hip, and I'm trying to decipher I'm going to be moving to New York, and Coach Bump in the back of her head already knows I probably am. But I'm just so nervous in this car, and I don't know. It all worked out, but it's a really funny story that we laugh about sometimes. So
Yeah, well, and it's the thing of she said come here, you said no, and then you turned around and said yes, and there was still that bond, there was still that connection, there was no bad blood, there was no you didn't choose us. What does it say about Coach Bump that she offered you once, and then when you came back and said, "Can you please offer me again?" that she was so receptive to you? What does that say about her?
I think it's huge, and I think it's something I would encourage anyone in the recruiting process to pay attention to. So I thought something that stood out to me so deeply was when I initially said no, how she reacted and the way that she was willing to still have another conversation with me meant a lot because in that scenario, there were other universities I had to say no to, and those phone calls were very short, very quick, and it felt very different than the one Coach Bump had with me. So I think it really reflects on the fact that she does care about us as people. She definitely cares about us more than just beyond being players. She understands that we're young women entering college, and she wants to support us. And for our phone call to go so well meant a lot. She really emphasized, I'm not going to hold this against you. I'm not going to bring this up. Like, our conversation is the conversation we're having now, and the past is what happened. So
Yeah.
I think initially saying no actually showed a lot more of why I wanted to be here. So you kind of have to know what you don't want to know what you have or what you do. So I think that had to happen in order to really get that conversation going and really help me understand and appreciate where I am today.
Well, and it is. It's amazing. It's a fun story. It gives Coach Bump for the rest of eternity the opportunity to have one over you a little bit. But the fact that she's been so great about it, you've been so great about it, and this all came together for you to be in this 2025 season to wear Binghamton across your chest. What does that do for you? Like when you walk out onto the field, what's the sight? What's the sights, the smells, the vibe, the feel, knowing that you're a part of this program, you're a Bearcat, and it all came together essentially the way that it was supposed to, even if it was confusing at the time.
Mhm. There's a lot of moments I just sit and reflect on the fact that I made it. I am initially supposed to be class of 2023, so to be playing in 2025 is also a huge opportunity and super crazy. I constantly look out in front, so when we go through the lines and everything like that, I high five the umpires, and then I look into the outfield wall and I look at the flag. And I remember when I was a freshman and I had my first game and I did the exact same thing and how nervous I was. And I look back on that and I still appreciate that I get to do that today. And I know that time is going to come soon, but the fact that I made it where I am today to me is one of my greatest accomplishments because I always wanted to play at this level and I made it. So for younger me to see me now, it's very exciting. And there's days that are harder, there's days that are stressful. And when those days come and I'm playing, I just go ahead and I touch the ground to remember to be where your feet are and to appreciate the moment I have. So it's a lot of fun being surrounded by these people, and I love every second of it.
And I mean, you going back to what you said about University of Colorado, Colorado Springs D2, and just believing that you could be a D1 student athlete, putting that faith in yourself, that belief in yourself, and then seeing it come to fruition, like you said, just putting your hands on the ground, appreciating the moment, being in the moment, living in the moment, being where your feet are. There's a lot of people that have a lot of thoughts about what they want to do, but there's a lot of people that live in fear. What would you say to those people since you are one of those individuals that said, this is what I could do? This is what I'm capable of. I believe in it. And no matter what anybody else said to you, you had that faith. So, what would you say to someone who's sitting here saying, I really want to do this, but I'm scared?
I really wish that I had more faith in myself. I was very fortunate to have other people had faith in me, but I didn't have that faith in me. And I don't think I learned and gained it until I had the personal experience behind it. And that meant doing things I was uncomfortable with and scared of. Obviously, within reason, the things that I had tried fit within financials, so there was no high risks. But I did understand going into things there was potentials I would never touch the field again or never play again.
Yeah.
But I'd come to a point where um, I wanted to not have that why question. I hear a lot of people older than myself have that as a regret, and they advise the same thing to try and go ahead and try those different things because you never know until you do. But what gives me comfort is knowing that from personal experience, from your low is where you find your high. So at your lowest low, you will eventually find your high. And that's what brings me hope is because I remember being in a place thinking, I've messed everything up. It can't get better from here. And now I'm sitting here today, exactly where I wanted to be at the age of 16. And it's 8 years in the making, but with time and trust and support, I've made it. So I guess I would advise those people to continue utilizing the support system and having a lot of faith in themselves.
Brianna Santos telling her story here, and the story of the Binghamton Bearcats softball program so far this season, 14-9. They got to start out, feel very bad for them in this moment. They started out in the Stetson tournament down in DeLand, Florida, with the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, Stetson University, a couple opportunities with FDU, and then Tennessee at Chattanooga once again as well. Went on a 3-game winning streak after starting 0-2. Then in the Florida tournament in Gainesville, the home of the Gators, faced off against the number 2 ranked team in the country, Florida Gators, the number 12 ranked team in the country, Duke University, and also Boston College and Providence College. And Providence getting victories over Providence 3-0 and 4-0. And then we go in to the Make It Happen games in Madera Beach, Florida, where you had Butler, Bellarmine, as well as Bethune-Cookman, and Butler and Bellarmine again. So looking at that and then going to James Madison's Invitational in Harrisburg, Virginia, Fordham, James Madison, Radford, and then going from there, we know that coming up here after you had the opportunities of Macon, Georgia against Mercer in the doubleheader, and then Mercer again, and coming out of that with 2 out of 3 being victories for you, we finally get to see this team in Vestal, finally get to see you at home. The snow has finally melted. The weather's finally warmer. So we'll have the University at Albany, which is America East matchup here, and we will see a bunch of games against Albany, a doubleheader on March 22nd on a Saturday, and on Sunday, March 23rd, another game in this matchup before you head out to Baltimore. Then you have Lemoyne, then you're back at home. So bring me into Florida and these moments, including the level of competition, which had within it 2 teams ranked in the top 12 in the country.
Mm-hmm. We spent a lot of time in Florida, as you can hear.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, made a lot of people jealous, but um, the preseason was great. It's always a learning opportunity. I think, especially playing, schools like Duke in Florida, that's huge for this program because I truly believe this program is up and coming. I think it's growing, and one of the biggest things is playing harder competition and playing schools that we've not seen before or in a long time.
Yeah.
And so I think just being in that environment is a learning experience in itself. You grow up seeing this on TV as a kid, and at first it could feel very shocking, very surreal. So learning how to kind of work with those emotions as you're playing, that is something to work through in itself. But I also think competing at that higher level, seeing the pace of game, those are all learning experiences in itself. So
Yeah.
when you get to postseason and you see similar teams, you feel prepared and you have a better idea of what the game's going to look like.
And being in Madera, going back there, you did not lose a single game there. So I do want to make a note of that. A 5-game winning streak in Madera in the Make It Happen games. And although, I mean, you had 3 different schools that you went up against and a 5-game winning streak, 5 of 5 there. Just how you finished up in Florida, because, like you said, you spent a lot of time in Florida and you were in 3 different locations, DeLand, Gainesville, and Madera Beach, and Madera was the 3rd of the 3, and just seeing that you did not lose a single game in Madera, just what that means to this team.
I think we knew we had the capability of doing that, and we found the grit in order to get that done. No matter what team you are, no matter who you're playing, winning is difficult. Um, I think that weekend was really telling in our ability to get it done because there were some games that we were coming from behind and we just had to work together as one unit and figure that out. And I think, like I was mentioning before, that's what the greatest thing is about preseason. So for us to be 5-0, it was really exciting and it was really good to see that that's something we could keep carrying on into the season.
And finally being at home, being in your own complex, and with that, all the additions that have been made for baseball and softball, just what it means to have what you have, to not only be at home in Binghamton coming up here in the schedule, but to be at a university that has invested so much in the baseball softball world.
Oh, absolutely. I think that is totally understated. Having the facilities we do on campus is a huge help to the student athletes, and it means a lot to know that we're being supported in that capacity. So I think that's huge in our ability to access what we need to in order to just practice. I know other people, other institutions, and in my own experience, not having access to those facilities makes it difficult to get any work in. So knowing your athletic department supporting you in your mission to win a conference, compete at a regional, it feels really good.
Because you've had a bunch of stops, do you feel that the facilities in Binghamton could hang with anybody?
I think they're beautiful. And I've seen some really nice fields in my time. I've seen some SEC schools, and I think this is a beautiful complex. We have the synthetic dirt, we have padded walls. So I also think, safe, safe. I love that. But even for the fans, I think it's a great viewing spot and everything about it. I love this field, very spoiled to have it, and field crew is phenomenal for us. So very thankful.
Brianna Santos here with us in this Bearcat Breakroom. Brianna, it's now the opportunity to get into rapid fire. You get to put me on the hot seat. I will do the same. We will go back and forth with a few. You get to ask me the first question. There is no preparation. There's nothing written down. I have no idea what Brianna's going to ask me, and she doesn't know what I will ask her back. So when ready, you can ask the first question.
Do you think a ketchup is a jelly?
Do I think ketchup is a jelly? No, not at all.
It's made with a fruit.
What'd you say?
Made with a fruit.
It is made with a fruit, but it doesn't have pieces of the fruit in it. I feel like jelly's got to have pieces. And tomato really throws me off that it's a fruit. I understand it has seeds, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I'm with you.
So, and being Italian, there's nothing about a tomato that makes me want to eat it by itself. But actual fruits, yes. My question back to you, how would you describe a softball field to someone who is blind?
Ooh. I would say, oh gosh, it's a triangle, but one of the sides are round, and the triangle's dirt, and then the outside of that triangle is grass with a wall at the end, and it's round. Then there's a backstop around the dirt triangle. And I don't think that was very good at all, but I don't know how to describe a field.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I like you. I kind of go back to what you said is, just put your hands down on that field and then maybe just have them feel it, sense it, breathe, and like let their other senses kind of take over.
That'd be the best way to do it. I don't think I could describe it well. I'm definitely a show with experience, less with words type of guy. So,
So what's your second question for me?
if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
they're equally together. Faith and I would say, well, faith. I'm thinking about something with my faith, but I would say flight is what I meant to say when I said faith,
Mhm.
and teleportation. I have always had a connection to angels, so the wings of an angel and the ability to fly would mean a lot to me. And teleportation, to be able to close my eyes and end up wherever I want to be, would mean a lot to me because the people that I love are all over the place. And I would love the opportunity to be on my couch and then, close my eyes and I'm wherever they are. So that would be a lot of fun for me if I could see my people all the time. I would say that. What food, two-part question. What food can you not live without? And secondly, what's the one food that you wish was never created?
Okay, well, the second one's really easy. My mom's favorite food for some reason is beef stroganoff, and I don't know what it is, but I despise it. I don't know what about that food. Whenever my dad's cooking it, I'm like, I'm gonna go outside. I don't know. And she loves it, and I'm so happy for her, but it's not me. Can't live without. Can I just give you a genre? Because fruit, like, I
Yeah.
love fruit. I love fruit with peanut butter and Nutella. I'll throw salt on it. I think of it like candy. I have so much fun with fruit. So I'm drinking juice right now. Like I love fruit. It's fun.
Well, the thing is, like, because fruit, it's sweet, it's good for you, but it's like natural. You know what I mean? It's not everything. I mean, in a lot of cases, but you get like something. I don't know. You feel if I make smoothies at home, I feel my body feels good. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel uncomfortable. I lose weight. I feel stronger. Like I put, there's protein that you can have within that and different things you can mix into it. So I just feel like having fruit in your diet helps to cleanse you and it also helps to build you up. It's not working against you, so to speak.
And to add on to that, I will say I'm still a sucker for candy. That's why sometimes the Nutella makes its way. So the not so good sweets still have their place in my life. But yeah, the fruit that there's so much variety. I just love it.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. My next question to you would be, you've brought up your faith a few times, so I'm wondering what your faith means to you.
Thank you for the question. It means everything. It's at the core of me. It I can't hide it. I don't want to. And for the past few years, I have felt like this country, for the first time ever in my life, I felt that being in America, I was like not ostracized, but I felt like people that believe in God were kind of like being told to shush, to just don't say anything. And it's a very dangerous world when you let the devil roam free and you don't talk to God. So I mean my faith, it's every fiber of my being. It's why I have the passion I have. It's why I chase the dreams that I chase. It's why I believe in myself. It's I mean, without God, I would not exist. I would not be here. I would not have fought to start my own business. I would not have answered adversity positively. I would not have the jokes I have and the comedy that I do. I wouldn't have the songs I've written. I wouldn't have the voice that I have. I wouldn't have the power behind that voice and the confidence and the strength to do something with it. So I joke around, but I say I blame God all the time. And it's his fault that I'm the person that I am and the person that I will become. So the short answer is everything. The long answer is life is impossible without him. And I think everybody realizes that at some point. My question back to you, my final question. If you ran for president right now, who's your vice president from your teammates, and what is your campaign slogan?
Oh, that is so easy. It's a Kira Kopeg, no doubt. She knows what's going on. We have conversations already, and so we are deep thinkers, and
Okay.
I think she'd be a great vice president. We get along just fine on the field, off the field. So the only thing I don't agree with is the fact that she'll put grapes in her yogurt. I think that's weird, but I mean, aside from that, we get along really well. So
Okay.
Oh, the slogan's hard. Um, she would hate me, but my initial reaction, I don't know. Like, I would want it to be more serious in terms of like, I really do feel it's important as a country to find some type of middle ground and a lot of understanding between people.
Yeah.
But as a silly girl on a podcast that does not know what I'm supposed to make it, I would say get after it would be her slogan right now. But no, we would think of something. She would specifically, because she's my vice president and she knows how to do this well, but she would think of something more clever that promotes unity and understanding of others.
I think there's, based on what you said and being like finding middle ground, that moderate, right? I would
Mhm.
say that a good campaign slogan that would speak about being in the middle, being moderate, and at the same time telling Americans to not overuse resources is you could just have the campaign slogan all in moderation.
Oh, yeah, see there. That's pretty good.
So you got a campaign manager. So I'm
Perfect.
copywriting that. That's a TM. My first
Mhm.
check will be for the royalties of using all in moderation. So with that being said, Brianna Santos and the Binghamton Bearcat softball team are in full swing. My pun is fully intended for the 2025 season. And in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University and your Bearcats. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Brianna, I don't say anything I don't mean. This has been an absolute pleasure. And if it was possible for me to do this with Coach Bump and the crew, I'm supporting you even more so now. So thank you for the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking and very thankful for all the people at Binghamton that have supported me. And anyone who wants to come to softball games, please do. We love the company.